What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Breaking news. Ralf Rangnick has been appointed Man United interim manager for 6 months until the end of the season, and then is going to take up that 2-month consultancy role that we've all known. We've all known for a little bit, but now we've got official announcement. It's time to look forward. It's time to be optimistic. It's time to you know what? Get a little bit excited to see what can change in the coming months. Michael Carrick, fantastic result last night. Fantastic result against Villarreal. And we're waiting for the work permit and stuff like that with Ralf Rangnick. So he probably will still be involved against Arsenal. We're going to dive a little bit more into that and what that's going to look like as well. But Owen, we spoke about this a few, a few days ago, and then it's gone quiet because we all knew it was kind of bubbling away in the background. But it's almost like now we can just focus on Ralf Rangnick and what it is he can probably do with this squad, etc., etc.
Exactly. I said yesterday felt a bit weird because it was like watching a team that you knew just is going to see, maybe not in terms of personnel, but certainly tactically radical change going forward. So yesterday did feel a little bit strange, but there is this sense of optimism around Manchester United at the moment, which feels a bit, I don't want to say different. I'm not going to say different. I nearly did. I caught myself, but it does feel this is one of the first sort of real proper, I guess, footballing decisions that Manchester United have made for such a long time. And I think that's why there's a lot of optimism, because I've seen people say like, oh, United fans seem really happy. Why are they so optimistic? This guy hasn't really won anything in his, he hasn't won a lot in his career and all this kind of stuff. And you have to sort of, I've had to explain to a few people recently, like, it's not necessarily the coaching that we're really thrilled with here. It's just, it's bigger than that. It's the fact that he is going to be moving upstairs at the end of the season, the fact that he is going to be around for 2 years, and the fact that, you know, Ed Woodward's leaving, Richard Arnold's stepping in, but reportedly Richard Arnold has basically gone, look, I'm not a football guy. And I don't want to be learning on the job. I don't want to do what Ed Woodward's been doing for however many years, but basically I'm just going to control it all. I'm the complete puppet master. I'm really good at doing business, but maybe I'm not good at football. So you know what? Maybe I have football people making football decisions. That's the logical thing to do, you know, but the thing is, the logical thing to do isn't usually what Manchester United have done. So it's very exciting, very, very exciting. Obviously, you know, you've got this talk about, you know, players and how are they going to fit into the tactics, you know, people pressing, etc., etc. Flex's phone's ringing as well.
Always. Yeah.
Always. But it's very exciting. And there's certainly a sense of optimism, how quickly he can affect things. I mean, when is he even going to be in charge? I mean, the statement says, you know, subject to work visa requirements. So, I mean, Flex is hoping that he's going to be in for his birthday on Thursday. Whether or not that actually happens.
Well, let's go through the official statement. If you're just joining us and seeing the news breaking, obviously it's not super news in terms of your surprise and where's this come from? We've known for a while, but this is the official. I think this is what is good to see, though, about what the club think about Rangnick and how they're describing him. Manchester United is delighted to announce the appointment of Ralf Rangnick as interim manager until the end of the season, subject to work visa requirements. Following this period, Ralf and the club have agreed that he will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. Like we've been saying, that's been the real standout thing. The 6-month firefighting thing to get you through to the end of the season is one thing, but implementing something further and higher up than that is fantastic. Now, this is where it gets interesting. John Murtough says, John Murtough, obviously Man United football director, says Ralf is one of the most respected coaches and innovators in European football. That's what we're getting. He was our number one candidate for interim manager. Number one.
Despite the 5 shortlist.
Listen, they're having a plan, Owen. Stop knocking them for having a plan. What if Ralf said
absolutely.
No? What if Ralf said no? We would have needed Valverde. Yeah, so, you know, he was our number one candidate, reflecting the invaluable leadership and technical skills he will bring from almost 4 decades of experience in management and coaching. Everyone at the club is looking forward to working with him during the season ahead and then for a further 2 years in his advisory role. Rangnick said, I'm excited to be joining Manchester United and focus on making this a successful season for the club. The squad is full of talent and has a great balance of youth and experience. stuff that we've already known. Exactly. It's a decent balanced squad in terms of that. All my efforts for the next 6 months will be on helping these players fulfill their potential, both individually and most importantly, as a team. Beyond that, I look forward to supporting the club's longer-term goals on a consultancy basis. Michael Carrick will remain in charge of the first team until Ralph's work visa is finalised. The club wishes to place on record its thanks to Lokomotiv Moscow for their cooperation in the process of bringing Ralph to Manchester United. Basically, thank you for not playing hardball. Thank you for just making it really easy.
Desperate.
We'll give you what you want. We'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
Name your price. We'll pay it. We'll even top it up with a little bit more. We've got to get this guy. So at least they bigged him up. That's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And also as well, John Murta, you know, a little bit of a humble brag there. He was our number one target and we got him. So there's me getting my number one targets in there. But it also as well, you notice in that statement, Flex, it's very heavy again on the emphasis of I'm excited to be here till the end of the season, but I'm really excited to be here for 2 years. Really excited to be here for 2 years. Really excited to help push the club forward. And once he starts talking, I really started nodding my head when he goes, I'm focused on making this a successful season for the club. Now, you might say, well, of course, why wouldn't he say that? That's just manager talk. But it is at least a little bit refreshing because there was certainly a feeling of trepidation in that, you know, when you get an interim manager in, you do tend to write the season off. You know, it's kind of a case of let's just get to the end of the season, like you said, Flex, firefight. That's what we're going to do. But to at least have the mindset of coming in, of being like, no, I'm going to come in and this season ain't over. You know, we're at the end of November, but there's still plenty of time to go, and there's still plenty of things that we can do this season. We're going to win the Premier League? No, we're not going to win the Premier League. We're not. But
never say never.
When it comes to cup competitions, you know, the FA Cup, I'm hesitant to say the Champions League, but that's tournament football. You know, depends on the draw. Absolutely depends on the draw. We've seen people that haven't even finished in the top 4 in the Premier League win the Champions League, and the year Chelsea won it, right? So anything's possible, and I think he knows that as well. And it's not as if he's coming into a squad filled with bad players either. You know, like we said before, most managers, that's why everyone was like, oh, I'd be interested in that because you've got some very, very good players in there. And he knows he can get a tune out of them. So I'm just like everyone now. It's just the kind of excitement factor of I just want to get him in tomorrow. I want to get him. I know we've announced it, but I want to get him in tomorrow. And it's just how long is this visa process going to take?
I think as well, like you said about the project there, someone like Ralph Rangnick is going to look at that project and definitely want to get his teeth into it. And, you know, that's on the pitch. That's on the pitch, like you said, for 6 months. But behind the scenes to say, you know, massive football club. And a real big challenge, you know, because let's face it, although this job at Man United is always going to be attractive, it's Man United, but we've not been good for a long time. Ralph Rangnick is kind of assigned to get us back to where we want to be and be part of that process. Absolutely. And be instrumental. If Ralph Rangnick can make himself a Man United legend, in you know, if he comes in and implements something. You know, I don't mean by coming in and winning the Champions League now. You know what I mean? I mean by like putting some principles in place where it'll be like, you look back in the history books and go, remember when Man United went 9 years without winning the league? And then Ralph Rangnick came in and put the fabrics in, and then they started to turn it around. And that's not, I'm not saying he's going to do that. I'm not saying this is perfect. We're now going to win the league. We're going to be winning all this stuff. But it's the start. It's the start of a sensible, after a sensible decision, which we haven't seen at the football club. And it is, if we flip the focus now more towards, we'll talk about the backroom stuff in a minute, a little bit later in the show. Let's talk about now what we think he can do with this squad. What can he do with this squad? You know, there was little rumors yesterday that Rangnick probably would have picked that. You know, Gary Neville was speculating, and you know, Michael Carrick was having none of it.
Into that.
Exactly. I'm not sure how much I buy into it. But if we use that as that bit of speculation as a basis to say, actually, factually, now we do have him. What do you think we can expect? Are your favorite players not going to be playing? Are the type of football that we see, which is just under Carrick, which has been just firefighting but organized and making sure our shape is right, the goals will come later. Will it be boring for the first few games? Are we going to try run around like blue ass flies when we haven't done it before? Are we gradually going to try and do that? Are we going to start doing that and then tail off in like the 75th minute because we're struggling because we haven't been used to playing that intensity? What do you think we're going to see?
That's the really curious thing, because I don't think personally, and again, I'm like everyone else. I've hardly professed myself to be a Ralph Rangnick expert. I've seen the stuff that everyone else has seen over the past 10 days or so. I do think that he's just a case of he's going to try his very best to implement his philosophy, his tactics. I think, like you said, the really curious thing about it is it possible to do that very, very quickly? And two, we saw how long it took for, the almost a really good comparison is a Jurgen Klopp, how long it took him to implement his philosophy
They
in
were
the
losing
sense
it
of
against Norwich at home and shit like that when they were
yeah,
trying
or they were having,
that,
games like 5-5 because they were so open defensively, but they were playing great stuff. They played great stuff pretty much immediately, but it was the other stuff, wasn't it? It was conceding goals and it was
like how
injuries.
Leeds, when Leeds are just playing one way and it's like, oh, but you need to change it here because it's not quite just like that. You might experience that.
But the argument is, and I think it's a valid one, is that Ralf Rangnick is coming into a much better team and squad of players than Jurgen Klopp was when he came into Liverpool during that period of time. And on the flip side of things, the comparison can be made to Klopp, but it also can be made to Thomas Tuchel, who, of course, came in, didn't really play an exact similar style of Rangnick, but he's influenced by him, certainly. Came into a very good squad of players last season at Chelsea, and they were very successful. Of course, won the Champions League. They barely lost a game after he came in, and it was ironic of how closely they almost didn't make the top four because they just literally stumbled over the line in the end, but we've seen how quality they are now. So it is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And again, Manchester United when was the last time you can recall us playing a really heavy sort of pressing style of football? Or high tempo, high sort of energy football. I can't honestly recall.
Not since Alex
but even under Sir Alex, was Sir Alex this big presser? Really?
Yeah,
we dominated games.
It was
played
all,
on
all the basics were just right. Yeah, all the basics were just right under Sir Alex. And you know what? I might be a bit controversial here. I'm not really interested in. I don't really buy into this the football now is we keep talking about pressing, keep talking about high energy Pep Klopp, revolutionize football philosophy, all of these things. Maybe I'm just old school, and maybe some people who don't agree with what I'm saying might say, no, mate, you're just an idiot, ain't got your badges, whatever. I just see it as football's football is a simple game complicated by idiots, in my opinion. And when I say that, I mean it like this. Just do your job. Just
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane. But the key to City and Liverpool isn't just because they got good players. It's because they do all the basics right. And the basics is let's just work at some sort of intensity. Like when we lose the ball, let's go after it. Yes, it has to be worked on. I'm not saying everyone can just do it, but just the basic effort levels. It has to be there. And when I say football simple, I don't mean it like how Ollie said it was simple.
I was going to say, because you are veering into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer territory. That was his downfall, wasn't it? He oversimplified it.
100%. That's not what I mean. What I mean is what Pep and Klopp are doing is getting elite players to understand that they need to work hard. That's their biggest attribute to me. Understanding that elite players, to get into their mind and to make them understand that actually, if you want to be successful at the highest level, you need to work at this intensity very frequently. Do you see what I'm saying? And I just feel like I just want to see us be organized. Before we were just, it was chaotic. There were gaps everywhere. There were holes in the team. We laugh at McTominay and Fred and say they're not good enough and stuff like that. And I'm not saying they are, but a lot of the reason why we were so open is because you got Bruno in the midfield running off doing what he wants. McTominay and Fred are just left by themselves. Structurally, defensively, slotting across Wan-Bissaka back post. We always get exposed that side. The rotation of the defenders when the ball's on one side to the other. Just basic working on things. I think they're basics. I think they fall under. Be organized, and then in terms of intensity, put intensity into your game. Go after players. And then what Ralf Rangnick's going to do is instill those basics and then some. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't think it's just about, really technical football and all of this stuff. He's going to come and do a lot of stuff that is actually basics. I really do think that.
I think what is an interesting point as well is that we can talk about tactics and we can talk about pressing. We can talk about all of that till the cows come home. Ultimately, I think at this point, it's just about results, isn't it? And again, I don't want to sound like Michael Carrick in that sense, but it's true because if Ralf Rangnick comes in and he plays this really, high tempo, high pressing style, but we're still getting smashed 3 or 4-0, that bloom will go off the rose very quickly, very, very quickly, because ultimately we want results. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been winning all of his games this season, he'd still be in charge. So that's football at the end of the day. Because people talk about people like Simeone, can't they? And that he plays negative football, defensive football. He wins titles. He's won titles. He's got to Champions League finals as well, and the Athletic Madrid fans love him because of that. So it's finding that balance as well, isn't it? Because obviously, I'm just so curious to see a Manchester United side that does have high tempo, high energy pressing. Because certainly in my lifetime, I've just never seen us play like that.
It's exciting. Exactly. What would it look like?
Yeah, it's something new.
I think
but it comes down to results as well.
Exactly, 100% all about results. This is what Ed T says. Biggest thing from yesterday that was exposed was that once we win back the ball from the press, we have no idea what to do. Fred, Rashford, Sancho looked lost at times once they had the ball, no options. And that is where you get your sprinkle of stardust. That is when the top coaches it'll be basic and easy for them because they understand it, how it works. But that's when they will transfer that knowledge onto the players to say, okay, in these situations, this is how we manipulate the ball. This is how we build attacks. You look at City, everything is very methodical where it becomes simple. So that's the other side of it. So that's what I'm saying. There's two sides to the football. There's one of it is just you have to do the basics right. I don't care if you want to say it sounds like Ollie and this, that, and the other. Any proper football person will tell you the fundamentals of football, which you have to have. You have to be willing to run. You have to be willing to work hard, and you have to be willing to play with intensity. That's just the basics of any footballer. If you're shit, if you're good, if you're the best player in the world, if you're one of the worst players in the world. And then the other side of it, which is something we've completely not had, like you said, is having those patterns, knowing what to do in situations so that when you arrive at that situation in a game, your mind, your body, the way you move, your organization, it comes second nature. That's what we don't have. It's a perfect comment what the person put. We have no clue what to do sometimes when we do win it back.
So a lot of the time there's no plan. A lot of times with season we've said like, how are United playing or what is the game plan? And you look at it and you go, I really don't know. Speaking of what Alex is saying there, it's pressing an organization, do that, the results will come. I saw a clip of Jurgen Klopp the other day, and it's so true. And he said that the counter press is the best playmaker in world football. And they said, what do you mean by that? He said, you will basically get so many more opportunities through that counter press, far more than the best playmaker could ever give you. Because, for instance, if you win the ball off a defender that's playing out from the back, you're through on goal. Exactly. You're through on goal. And how often is the best playmaker in the world going to thread that pass? He's like, you'll get so many more chances by doing that. And it's true. We got our goal yesterday for a defensive error, but a bit of a press on someone making that defensive error. And it's a gilt-edged chance and it's a goal. So, again, just seeing that, I'm just fascinated to see it. It's something completely different from Manchester United, completely different. And I think that's why it's exciting as well.
100%. Vibav says here, and sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong there, bro. He says, Flex, I love how he told that he wanted to fulfill the player's potential rather than saying winning trophies. That's what makes him a good coach. Listen, that's an interesting point. Some people would look at that and say, listen, I want him to be saying it, we need to be winning the Champions League. I think if you read between the lines, you can always pick whatever side of the coin you want it to fall on. If you read between the lines, he did say, I want to, as a team, I want us to, have a good season. And having a good season at Man United, we know what that means. That means we're in the Champions League. It means successful season. That means we're in the Champions League. We want to win it. FA Cup hasn't started yet. We want to win it. Unlikely to win the Premier League. And obviously, without a doubt, we shouldn't even have to mention it, but obviously finishing in that top four as well. So we know what a successful season means for Man United. And so will Ralph Rangnick. So I side more on Vibav there, sort of saying, he wants to get the players to play to their potential, getting the best out of what he's got. That does show.
That's what we want as well. That's what we want as well, isn't it? We've been saying it so many times. We said it before the season even started. The players we've got in this squad, if they play to their full potential, got one of the best squads in the league. We do. Well, is it the perfect squad? No squad's perfect. But if you've got Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Rafael Varane, David De Gea, Marcus Rashford, etc. The list goes on and on. Playing to their full potential, you'd fancy him to beat anyone. You really would. And again, he knows that as well. So that's him saying, I want to make sure the squad plays to their full potential, because he knows if he manages to do that, it will be a successful season just because of the quality.
Exactly. Shalil says, well, thank you for the contribution there, Shalil. Says, it's 1 a.m. here in New Zealand and I am buzzing. Finally, we have a manager and some coaching will be done. We need to stay calm and let him coach. Let's go. Yeah, we do need an element of calm though as well, because I think, look, we're going to be in a position where we still got to remember that the players have been in limbo, playing a certain way for so long, which hasn't been great. Then they get thrown in the deep end with Carrick, and Carrick makes some big changes tactically and to the team. They just got to get through, and they've showed they can adapt to that. Then they're going to have to adapt for 6 months again. Now, the transition from the summer into the new manager probably shouldn't be that big a gap, because Ralph's going to be part of that. That's what makes this. That's the beauty of this. That's the point of this. It makes it more of a seamless transition from Ralph to whoever we pick, whether it's Pochettino or Ten Hag, because he's going to help choose the manager. And with that in mind, do not think for 1 second that Man United and Ralph would have not already identified who they're going to go after in the summer. They've probably told Ralph Rangnick 100%. Look, we want Poch in the summer. We're going to go for him, or we want Ten Hag, or we want Rodgers, whoever it's going to be.
And they would have asked him as well. What do you think about that? He'd have gone,
exactly.
What, I think that's the right choice. And again, I was going to say, and again, usually when a manager leaves, right? A manager leaves, he just goes. The manager who's going to be in charge now is staying. So when Pochettino comes in, he can sit him down and go, look, last 6 months, this happened. This player, you probably need to be careful with this player. Like we didn't even have that with Fergie. I mean, I don't know how often Sir Alex Ferguson was sitting down with David Moyes. Certainly not enough, considering that David Moyes brought in his entire own backroom staff. Again, it's that continuity, and that's more of a seamless transition. Even if you go back to, again, Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill even, like we just didn't have that. We didn't have that smooth transition. So again, that's what makes it exciting, is that he's sticking around. So he can just give this information that he's learned in this 6 months to whoever comes in, and he's going to be part of that decision as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ivano96 says David De Gea as captain. He's the only undroppable player at the moment. But yeah, on the transition into what we can expect, and that's what I was saying. It's like they would have definitely said, we want to get this guy. And then whoever they've decided on, because they would have decided already, whoever they've decided on, it's Ralph is going to gear the team up to help that as well, to facilitate that. He's not going to come and do something for 6 months that he thinks is going to get thrown out the window in 6 months. That's not what he's here. That's not what he's here to do. What do you think he'll do in terms of, what's your gut feel? And this is why it's exciting, because it's just a whole new discussion point of just seeing something different. Sanch said it yesterday on the match review we did yesterday. He's like, I don't really like that team, but actually, I just like that. It's different. I don't know what to expect. It's just different. No, your favorite player might not be playing anymore, under Ralph. But what do you think now you're looking at it? What comes to mind of where you think, I think he could do this, or I think he could do that, in terms of, someone said, do you think he would take the captaincy off Maguire and things like that? Could you see big things happening? Ronaldo, not starting as many games as we might think. Bruno not starting as many. Maybe Rashford might sit. Martial could all of a sudden come good. You just don't know. It's a clean slate. It's a whole new thing.
Yeah, you really don't know. And again, it's exciting he's going to be there for 2 years, because if he was only there for 6 months, I don't know if he has the clout to strip Harry Maguire of the captaincy or anything like that. Probably not. If you're only going to be there for 6 months, they're big club decisions to make. If he's going to be around for 2 years and he's helping shape, the ethos and the foundations of the club going forward, absolutely he would have the clout to go, I tell you what, maybe we need to go in a new direction for the captain. Or maybe we need to go and this guy needs to play because otherwise we're going to lose him on a free transfer, or whatever it may be. So I do expect to see a couple of changes and people maybe not playing as much as we would think. I was talking about it yesterday, and that, again, going back to sort of tactics, if you're going to play this high pressing style, you're going to have a really high defensive line. You're going to be near enough on the halfway line. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, so if you had this high defensive line that's nearly on the halfway line, how does Harry Maguire fit into that?
Exactly.
Because how does he fit on a high defensive line? He really doesn't. And a player yesterday, like Eric Bailly, absolutely fits into a really high defensive line because he's quick. He's got that yard of pace. So maybe someone like Eric Bailly is looking around going, I tell you what, I fancy myself to be getting games here, because just in terms of my physical attributes just are so more aligned to what we're going to be doing going forward. Now, do I think Ralph Rangnick is going to come in and strip the captaincy of Harry Maguire and then not play him?
Yeah, I don't know
if he knows. Yeah, I don't know if he realizes the political beast he's going into in that
exactly.
sense.
I think, look, as fans, Shalil Patel says, by the way, love the new layout. Saw it on the match view. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of positive comments about we're stepping things up. A few technical glitches, but like I said, here on United View, it's going to be consistent. slow, like consistent organic growth. Do you know what I'm saying? We're just going to keep growing, keep up in the levels, man, up in the levels. There's two sides you can look at it. Some people say a real manager comes in and says, listen, you're shit, you're crap, you ain't playing, see you later. Captaincy, gone, outcast. In reality, you have to be very, very careful who you pick your battles with when you first walk into a football club, especially when you're trying to gain the trust of the players. Now, that's not saying if he comes in and goes with Donny van der Beek instead of Bruno, he's going to lose the that's not what I'm saying. But to walk straight in there and say, you're not the captain anymore and you're not playing, it would be a massive move. And if the team does well, look, great. I'm not saying that. But part of being a fantastic coach is knowing how to do that or handle that. If you think he's not the right guy, sort of say, oh, you know, he's going to have the captains. While I'm here, you're all going to be captains or something like that. You know, one day it could be De Gea, one day maybe we might have a club captain, but it gets shared around. Who knows? I don't know. That's just me thinking of hypotheticals. I think he will keep it the same. But, you know, there are going to be things that he does. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does in midfield. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does in midfield because I've thought this for a while. You know, we all say Fred's not good enough and he's horrendous. Is he Brazilian and all of this stuff? We should sell him. Listen, I've said for a long time, I think Fred is a decent player. Honestly, I do think Fred is a decent player. I think he's more decent than sometimes we can give him credit for. Yes, is he good enough on the ball when he's passing forward? That's an issue. I'm not saying that, you know, we don't need to get better in that situation, but I'm saying in a better coach side, I think Fred is one that can probably survive getting the chop, I think. I think he could be interesting because now Rangnick's going to want to have midfielders who are going to go after people. Fred's going to be essential. You know, he's going to be essential.
It depends what his role is, isn't it? It depends what his role is. If you're asking things like for any good coach, I've said this for ages, you know, you find solutions and you play to your player's strengths. If you're asking Fred to be a forward passing, advanced playmaker type midfielder, no chance is that going to happen because he just does not have that. That's not his game. He doesn't have those qualities. If Fred's role is specifically win the ball back, press people, close them down, then, and again, if you're talking about a pressing side full of energy, he can fit into that. And I think people kind of saw that yesterday. Yeah, we talk about the chip and the finish, and he got a bit of a nosebleed being that high up on the pitch. But make no mistake, Fred played well yesterday.
He did.
Fred played really well yesterday. And McTominay, you know, people talk about McFred and being, you know, are they at the level of Manchester United? And maybe they're not. And maybe
together they're not.
Saying, yeah, and maybe saying that, you know, that, they can only, you know, they only have energy and they're only closing people down. And that sounds like very Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but it does depend on the system. I think it does 100%. Depend on the system. If Ralph Rangnick's only job for them is, look, I just want you to win the ball back. And as soon as you win the ball back, just release it. The only problem is sometimes when they try and release it, they can't even do that. But if that's what it is, and look, we have seen stranger things happen, you know, and I'm not saying that Fred's going to be the next like Jordan Henderson or anything like that. But I remember Jordan Henderson when he came into Liverpool, first couple of years, he did nothing. They were going to sell him.
Everyone's saying, what was it, 30 million, 25 million from Sunday?
Yeah, they were going to sell him. Now he's Liverpool captain, and somehow he's managed to closely, maybe not, it's impossible to, but fill the shoes of Jadon in terms of an inspirational leader, captain-like figure at the club. Nobody would have predicted that. And I don't know if that's completely Jurgen Klopp or Brendan Rodgers or whatever, but they play similar football, and they looked at his strengths and said, look, he's got energy, he can close people down, he can press people. It depends on the system. I think it really, really does. And this is exciting as well. These players that maybe haven't been performing to the level we thought they should be, or we see these people and we go, they can be so good. They can be so good. Why aren't they being so good? Maybe they do reach that potential now, or at the very least, it's a fresh start for them. And people like Jadon Sancho. You're telling me Jadon Sancho isn't going to thrive under Ralph Rangnick? I mean,
that was the bit I was going to get
onto
next. About, you know, let's look at some of the positives and how good he can be individually for some of these players. First of all, smash a like on the video, guys. If you lot are just joining us, we're nearly at 600 watching. We obviously just went live really quickly, a little bit disjointed this morning because obviously we're reacting. So smash a like on the video, subscribe if you lot are new, and share the video. Let's get some more people watching. Let's see how many we can get watching live. The likes of Jadon Sancho, you know, Rashford, Greenwood. Let's just talk about those three in particular, and let's talk about Martial as well. I think it'd be unfair to just write him off and say, well, he's going to leave anyway. He's had his chance. When a new manager comes in, you never know. Ralph could really come in and say, listen, I've seen you, Tony. I've seen you. I've seen the good and the bad and the ugly of you. But I'm telling you, if you listen to me, I'm going to give you I actually believe you can lock down this left-hand side. You don't know. You don't know. That could happen. And all of a sudden,
I think that's exciting.
No. I tell you what, where's this Martial been? Wow, he's gotten the best out of him. He's getting the best out of him. So if we say Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho, how good can he be for these guys?
I mean, it can be really good for these guys. And again, that's what's exciting because it's a fresh start. It really is a fresh start. And I think we've seen, it was almost concerning, wasn't it? The whole Jadon Sancho situation, because pursued a guy 18 months, 75 million, playing on the bench a lot. When he did come on, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here. And it was like, here we go again, big signing. We don't manage them properly, or they don't fit into plans, and they just sit there and it becomes an issue. And then you saw him against Villarreal, arguably as Man United's best player on the pitch in both halves. Yesterday as well, maybe not his complete best game, but he got a goal, and you saw it. I mean, I don't know about you, just seeing his passion and desire,
Sound a little bit like Ollie there, mate.
Oh no! When he scored the goal though, and to have the bottle of, no, I'm not going to square it. I'm just going to put it bottom corner.
100% confidence.
That's what we want. And I saw there was an interview that Rangnick did. I think it was last year on Sky, where they asked him about Sancho. This is the time he was being linked to United, and he was like, "Look, I don't see him devaluing. I only see him getting better. I see him living up to his potential. He's a great player." And I think he will do great things if and when he does move away from Dortmund.
And he was seeing him a lot, and he knows the German league so well, and would have obviously watched a lot of German football. He will understand just how good Sancho was in that Dortmund team, and probably be able to replicate sort of environment that he's going to need to get the best out of someone like Sancho.
Exactly. He will see that player, like you said, he'll be very familiar with him. He'll be like, yes, I know how we can get the best out of him. And again, I look at the players in the squad now of how we think Rangnick's going to play, and sort of the sort of prerequisite for most of the players is having this sort of just, again, high energy, high tempo stuff. Look at Sancho, you go, he's tailor-made for it. He's built for playing under Ralf Rangnick, that kind of style. So again, that's very exciting. Obviously people are talking a lot about, Ronaldo and stuff like that.
And we're going to get into that.
How will he fit into there? But even that as well, like I think a lot of people, very quick to write, Ronaldo off quickly. What do you think? What do you think? As if his Man United career's over because Ralf Rangnick's coming in. I find that laughable.
Not at all. Nate H says, just quickly, thanks for the super chat. Nate H says, I'm telling you, Fleck, Ralphie will get a tune out of Matter. Fleck OT is going to be loud on your birthday. You have to be buzzing. Someone said, who the hell is Fleck? That Fleck actually comes from the legend Ricky. When I first met Ricky at Wolves away, when he first come onto the United stand at the time, he just didn't realize my name was actually Flex. He thought it was Fleck. So, so for the first few fan cams we used to do when he used to come to the games, and when Ricky gets animated, I'm telling you now, Fleck. I'm telling you now. So that's where that came from. So some people it's just kind of stuck. We got Ricky. What was I going to say? Yeah. Ronaldo. Let's talk about Ronaldo under Ralf Rangnick. And this is all hypotheticals because, like you said, we have no clue, and this is what makes it exciting. We don't know what's going to happen. But my guess is, I don't think Ralf Rangnick will be scared to leave Ronaldo out of certain games, like what we saw yesterday. He might go to a City away, a Liverpool away. We still got to play, and Ralf Rangnick might say, yeah, this is not. We look to you in the sort of 70th minute, 60th minute, whatever. I want to go with this. So I don't think he'll be scared to, but I think Ronaldo will still play the majority of games against all the other teams. I think he'll play, and I know there's this thing because I feel it too. It's like, and it's kind of like what Keane and Carrick were doing yesterday, where Keane's saying, listen, this Ronaldo. You don't put him on the bench for anything, especially the big games, because that's why you brought him back. Yeah. That's why you brought him back, to play Chelsea away, to play Arsenal away, City, Liverpool, all the big games. And I do get that. And as a Man United fan, I want that story. I want that. He came back, he played in all the big games, he sat Chelsea down, he still got it, scored at the Etihad, shushed the fact. Like, you want all of that, but you have to look at where our squad is at and what's best for the squad game by game, because we want the balance in these games, and we're not good enough. We don't have if we had a clear system and style of play that had been worked on for a long time, and Ronaldo could come into that and just be facilitated by all the other moving parts, then great. We could probably play him in every game because everybody knew their jobs. Pep wanted Cristiano Ronaldo. If Ronaldo went to City, with City's mechanics and how they work, Ronaldo would play every game. He start every game, and City would still play in the right way because Pep would be able to accommodate him. So I think we'll get a mixture of Ralph maybe saying maybe not this game, you start on the bench, whatever. But especially in the Champions League and stuff like that, he'll be starting. And I just feel like he'll just know how to manage Ronaldo behind him. He'll know how to get the best out of him because he's a good coach. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I do. It's surprising, but to be fair, he's speaking a lot of sense about Man United in recent months. I do agree with what Jamie Carragher was saying yesterday when he was saying that it shouldn't be, and I know it always will be because it's Cristiano Ronaldo, greatest player of all time. I get it, but it shouldn't be this ginormous, colossal story that Cristiano Ronaldo is on the bench for a certain game.
Exactly.
Especially if in the manager's mind or the coach's mind, and it was Michael Carrick yesterday, that just the way we're going to play today, or our best chance of getting something today, is not starting with Ronaldo because we have this specific game plan. That's not writing Ronaldo off. That's not saying Ronaldo's terrible. That's not saying Ronaldo in the mud, Ronaldo's finished. That's just
exactly.
That's just saying today. Yeah, and that's just saying today, you know what? We're playing a certain way. That's like, and I know Ronaldo's not the same, but that's like having, this target man up front, but then knowing you're going to have to play on the counter attack. Would you play the target man? You probably wouldn't. You'd be like, actually, we need a bit of pace today. And it is just tactics. And I know people hate that when you hear, oh, it's just tactical. And they'll go, oh, yeah, of course it was just tactical, this kind of stuff. But it is. But it is. And you can't argue with it. We got a point yesterday. And any other club in the Premier League would have taken a point yesterday at Stamford Bridge.
And it's still not with Ronaldo of old. It's still, even though he's still our top scorer and he's pulled us out of the mud many a time this season already.
And he will continue to do so.
Keep doing it. He's going to keep scoring. He's still going to get over 20 goals. He's still not the Ronaldo of when he was last here over, what was it, 12 years ago, however long it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he will play. He will play under Ralph Rangnick. He will. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangnick's first game, again, we don't know if it's going to be against Arsenal or it's against Palace. I would put a fair amount of money saying Ronaldo will probably start that game.
Yeah,
he will.
Exactly.
But in certain games,
he's going to be at home as well.
Yeah, in certain games against certain teams, you have to make the best decision in what you think is the best way to get something out of that game or win the game. And even in yesterday's game, Ronaldo came on. And it was a fresh Ronaldo for 20 minutes. That he can play on the counter attack for 20 minutes, fresh like that. Yeah. But for 90 minutes, when you need to, and your game plan is let's get people behind the ball, is Ronaldo going to be that guy? He works for the team. And I know people have been saying, oh, this idea Ronaldo doesn't press, it's absurd, all this kind of stuff. And maybe he will, but it's just this idea of, can he keep up that standard for 90 minutes? Can he keep up that? No, by the way, nobody can as well. Even the Liverpool players, Mane, Firmino, Salah, they can't keep up pressing for 90 minutes. A lot of the time, at least two of them go off. Yeah. Because it takes that much. So
exactly. And that's what we got the squad for. We're in a position where we can. We haven't even spoke about Cavani. Cavani actually would be tailor-made for this Ralph Rangnick situation if he wants to go all front foot, all guns blazing and pressing and doing what he needs to do. Edinson Cavani is actually perfect for it. Obviously, he's injury prone and, we'll have to see. But I don't see him starting too many games over Ronaldo. But if you were going to put him into a Ralph Rangnick team, you'd have no problems doing that. Talk about, pressing from the front. He's the perfect person to do that. Shalil says, I think CR7 can benefit as he can be used to cut passing lanes while the wide players press and create pressure. Yes, he won't run like a madman. Fair, exactly. Ralph can say exactly, like in basketball, you taught block the passing lane. Same in football, depending on the manager. You know what I mean? Just block it off so that if a right back or a left back does have it there, or a centre back does have it there, they look up and see you in that line of sight or passing lane, as you call it, and they're going to go, yeah, I'm not going to pass it that way. I'm actually going to turn and have to go back that way. Then players then all press at the same time. So there's ways of accommodating a player who isn't necessarily going to be the blue ass fly to run his ass off. I've been here since when Flex and KG left United Stand in this channel. I was called the Flex Vlogs or something like that. That's just David Lee in that talking. I didn't even realize. And the Spaniard said, Bruno is going to have to change his game to play for Ralph. Let's talk about Bruno under Ralph, because I've said so many times, even under Ollie, Bruno, I'm not in the camp of like, oh, people really getting onto him. All I've said is really simple with Bruno. Because he's a really good player, he's going to get numbers. Yeah. But he has a playing style that when we're not playing very well, and this was when Bruno was doing really well and we was actually second in the league doing all right, I still said it then. Last season, I was like, he has a playing style that if the numbers dry up, he's going to be an issue. He'll be, you know, because of our lack of system. So what Bruno needs is actually, he just needs reining in a little bit. He's a good footballer. He's a good player who can really make things happen. But he just needs instruction off the ball to connect with McTominay and Fred, or Matic and Fred, or whoever the midfield two is going to be, Donny, whoever else. He needs that instruction. So that's what I think Ralph Rangnick's going to have on his hands, of how to get the best out of him. He might just go, I don't think you'll listen. I'm going to play Donny. You never know, but I can't see that. He'll want to get the best out of someone like Bruno.
I said this to DJ yesterday in the match reaction, that I do think that Bruno's role will change slightly coming with Ralph Rangnick coming in, but mainly in the sense of, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Bruno Fernandes he had this sort of aura of being undroppable. You can't drop Bruno Fernandes, because even if he's playing terrible, he'd have a terrible game for 80 minutes, but he'll get goal and assist in the last 10 minutes and he'll win you the game, all that kind of stuff. But there are some games where he doesn't. And then when he doesn't, he's just played terrible for 90 minutes. And I do think that we've kind of already seen it with Carrick when he was, you know, in caretaker charge, but I think we'll see it with Rangnick as well. No, like there are games that Bruno, a bit like Ronaldo, that maybe he just shouldn't play, or maybe he does come on. Maybe he does come on the bench. I think that I don't think there's any issue with Bruno Fernandes, you know, pressing the ball or anything like that when he's playing essentially as a false nine. When you know Ronaldo's up front, or last season when Cavani's up front, he presses anyway. Part of the problem is no one pressed with him. He just ran around, like you said, like a blue-ass fly. So I think, like you said, with maybe a bit more structure in him, you know, actually, okay, Bruno, you're going to play maybe a little bit deeper in my team, but you're still going to be pressing. I still want to see that work rate. I just want to see you affect the game from a bit deeper. I know you can. We've seen the range of passing that you've got, and we know you've got a goal in you. But in the same thing as well, part of the problem, and arguably one of the downfalls of Ole, was that it was just this insistence. Bruno Fernandes has to play because, and you know, don't get me wrong, the stats back up, and you can see the logic behind that, because his stats are unbelievable. I'm not digging out Bruno Fernandes by any stretch of the imagination. But you've got the squad there, and in games where he's not playing well, bring on Donny. Or if he's not playing well for a couple of games, start Donny. You know, that's why you've got the players there. And I think under Rangnick, that's where I think Bruno's role might change, is I don't think necessarily anymore he's just completely undroppable. You know, previously, it was like you could guarantee Bruno Fernandes on the team sheet every single game. And his stats did justify that. But there have been games like yesterday, you know, first half, he was shocking.
Horrendous.
He was horrendous, but he would do that in the past, absolutely. And like I said, and score 2 goals, and you'd be like, well, Bruno Fernandes, that's what he does. But I do think his role will change slightly in the sense that, you know, we're going to use the squad a bit more. And I think, and again, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, not at all. And how important is it, you know, about Ralph's backroom staff coming in with him, bringing in a few of his own staff? You know, Chris Wheeler has been quoted saying it, and quite a few other journalists have said Ralph Rangnick will bring a few of his own staff to Manchester United. Lars Connector will be brought in. You know, people that he's worked with before. How important is that, mixed in with probably keeping some of? I mean, what do you think? Carrick, McKenna, and Phelan will literally all go, or do you think maybe Carrick could stay? I think maybe one would stay.
It's interesting because some of these reports are saying that all 3 of them are going to be staying, and the goalkeeper coach as well, or 4 of them. Some, like you say, some might leave. I think, and I don't want to be too hypocritical about this, because I said before that I think all of them should go because they're all part of the problem. And I'm not going to really shift from that, because especially when you look at like Carrick and McKenna, they were there for Jose Mourinho as well. So they've been there through regimes that haven't worked. And
exactly,
you know, if they were the managers during that period of time, they would have been sacked. So they're quite fortunate. The only thing I think that maybe could be seen as a positive is that Carrick and McKenna are young coaches, and we have seen this history of Ralph Rangnick not just developing players, but developing coaches as well. And obviously, you talk about Rangnick giving Thomas Tuchel his first job at Stuttgart, under-19s coach, developed him into the coach he is today. And maybe if I was Michael Carrick or Kieran McKenna right now, I'd think, look, maybe I've got away with one here. And there is some guilt, because I was massively part of this collaborative structure that didn't work. And my boss has gone, and I am certainly very responsible for him going, because we all should shelve that blame. I would realize that I'd be fortunate to still be in a job, but I would realize that you've got this top level elite coach coming in for the rest of the season, and also realizing I've probably got 6 months to save my job, because if Mauricio Pochettino comes in at the end of the season, he's bringing his entire backroom staff with him.
100%. And I think
they will need Ralph Rangnick to go to bat for them to Pochettino or to Ten Hag to say, no, you've got to keep Michael Carrick around. I've worked with him for 6 months. He's developed. I've seen things in him. You've got to keep him around, because otherwise,
and that's what it is. That's exactly. That is a big point, because I think when you look at it now, and you say, all right, cool. What if Ralph Rangnick does say, look, I've been out of work for a while in terms of managing. I can only bring sort of maybe 2 people. And they're one's going to be assistant manager. So Carrick, you're going to step down and be a coach. And one's maybe another coach. He might say, for a little bit of familiarity around the place. Because again, another thing, and I'm not saying this should happen, I'm just saying how other coaches may feel about things. Another thing of being a good coach is understanding the environment you're going into and what you can achieve within a short space of time. Rangnick might think, I'll keep just Carrick. He stabilised the ship.
It's funny, Romano just tweeted about the staff in the last few seconds.
Oh, what did he say? Go on.
He said, Manchester United current coaching staff expected to be confirmed also under Ralph Rangnick, including Michael Carrick and Mike Phelan. He hasn't spoken about McKenna there, which is interesting. He's just said Carrick and Phelan. Rangnick will be allowed to bring into clubs some members of his staff to have an impact and help his work. So kind of what we were saying before. But it's interesting he only said Carrick and Phelan there. Yeah,
I mean, for me, and I'm not just being horrible, but this is just my opinion, I think Phelan definitely should be one of the first to go, because he's been there for so long. The first time round, came back as part of the Jolly Boys Outing Club, tried to do the Sir Alex thing. It's done. He's not going to learn new ways now, is he? At this age, no offense. I just feel like he won't be the best person to stay. So I would probably move him on. I would say Carrick. You could say, look, he's been a good servant, and yes, he's been under Ollie, and it wasn't good. But under real guidance, like someone Ralph Rangnick, was instrumental in Nagelsmann, in Tuchel, in Klopp. And I'm not saying that, I'm definitely not saying Michael Carrick's going to be the next one of those. But if we want to support Michael Carrick, do the right thing as a club and help him with the next stage to achieve what he wants to achieve, whether it's to go off and be a manager, how good would it be for him to learn under Ralph Rangnick? And Ralph Rangnick could spot little things in him and say, yeah, you know what? I think that, don't get me wrong, fall back. You're not making decisions anymore. You're now going back to being an understudy and learning off a proper, I'm not saying he's going to come in with a big head like that, but you're learning under me now. Listen to me and learn. Yeah. I think 100%. It would probably be a decent thing to change, to keep, Michael Carrick in and around it, and let Michael Carrick go, bloody hell. Actually, yeah, I'd never learned that under Ollie and Mick. Yeah,
if I was them, I'd be like, this is a massive opportunity. And like I said, I would look at it as, I've got 6 months, because whoever's coming in, if it's Ten Hag, if it's Pochettino, if it's whoever, they've got their guys, and maybe one of us might stick around, maybe just to help smooth things over. And I need to ensure that I impress Ralph Rangnick enough that he will go, when he's in those conversations of Pochettino or Ten Hag coming in, oh, by the way, I know you're going to bring your own stuff, but keep Michael Carrick around.
Yeah, and can I add as well?
Keep him around.
And you know what? This might be controversial. People may say, no, but listen, we're not on the training ground with the likes of McKenna and stuff like that. And people have said he works good. You get some of the leaks that were coming out with the players, like these training sessions a bit elementary, as he works better with young players because he's come out the youth setup. But, I do think it's good for, the young coaches, aspiring coaches, to learn off top people. I think the biggest problem with Carrick and McKenna and stuff as a coaching staff, and Phelan and Ollie as a coaching staff, wasn't necessarily that, they only just wasn't good enough. It's the fact that they were learning on the job from people not good enough.
There was no experience. You know what I mean? There was no experience. You look at Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson was never the best, tactical coach on the training pitch. He wasn't. But what did he do throughout certainly the latter years of his career? He just surrounded himself with unbelievable coaches. Unbelievable coaches all the time. Whether it was René Melastin, whether it was Carlos Queiroz. Carlos Queiroz was such a good coach. He went to become the Real Madrid manager, failed, but he came back. Imagine having a former Real Madrid manager as your assistant manager. And people to this day talk about how good the coaching sessions were with Melastin or Queiroz, all that kind of stuff. I said, one of the biggest failures of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure is that he didn't bring in those coaches and surround himself with that just elite level experience, because then he could have probably got through it. He probably could have got through it. So Alex Ferguson went through so many assistant managers and all that kind of stuff because he knew he had to constantly evolve and surround himself with people who were at the time considered cutting edge or considered, top of their class. He had Steve McLaren, he had Walter Smith. He had back in the day, had Brian Kidd. At the time, these were renowned coaches for that level. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just didn't do that. So again, if it was just Ralph Rangnick coming in and only Carrick and Phelan and McKenna, I'd still be a bit like, I'm happy Ralph Rangnick's in, but that's the coaching staff, what's going to be going on there. But the fact that it looks like he is going to be bringing in his own assistant and maybe another coach, that's more. I like that. That's
what we need. Exactly. I think the main conductors need to be his guys. Then it's about him saying, I need a workforce. I don't necessarily, Ralph is not coming from a club right now where he's been in charge in the dugout with a big coaching staff. Like a Pochettino can say, right, guys, we're all packing up from Paris and we're all moving to Manchester in one big. He hasn't got that luxury. So maybe Ralph might look at it and say, I'll bring these 3, but actually I'll keep them 2. That's a good 5. I think, they fall back. Don't get me wrong. They are going back to put that cone to the left a little bit. Yeah, set the bibs out a little. You got to fall. You got to fall back a bit. You got to fall back a bit. But it's a learning curve, and if he thinks that he can see something in him and to be more respectful, I'm only playing about the cones and stuff. But if he says, look, I can see little traits of talking. Michael Carrick would have sat down with Ralph and have a conversation and stuff like that. I can see little bits. I can see little bits that actually I can work with. I think if you listen to me, I think you can work it. And you know what? Part of me, call me a bit sentimental, but I definitely do want to move away from sentiment. We know where that's got us. But in this scenario, I actually wouldn't mind it for Carrick, just to learn off someone as good as Ralph Rangnick for 6 months, and just see if he can elevate himself, man. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. Maybe I'm being a little bit softy, or maybe we do need a whole clear out. But to do that halfway through the season when Ralph Rangnick might not have that at his disposal, we probably need a couple familiar faces around.
I think that total reset is probably it might come at the end of the season anyway. Also, as well, you have to look at it from a financial point of view. They just shelved out $7.5 million to get rid of Solskjaer. They just handed these guys 3-year contracts as well. So if they get rid of them, more money. It says here, Romano says that Manchester United didn't have to pay any compensation to Lokomotiv Moscow for Ralph Rangnick, which is why they said they want to place on record their thanks, because they're thinking, whew, we didn't have to pay money. Which again, some cynics might look at that and say, "Wow, that's why he was #1 target. It's not costing them any money." I'm sure it played into it. I'm sure it absolutely played into it. But like going back to the coaching stuff again, total change might be coming in at the end of the season anyway. That we could be looking at a situation where these guys are just around because Rangnick, like you said, needs bodies in the coaching staff. And when Pochettino comes in, he'll be like, "Well, with all due respect, Ralph, you might say to keep one person on. I might keep one person on, but the rest are going because I have my guys." And
that will probably happen. I mean, like United says here, I think that's the interesting point. With Carrick, it's possible to still learn to be better. I'm not so sure with Phelan. Exactly. That was why my first thing was that. Do you know what I mean? Because for me, I'm like, you can't. We want everything now. We want everything right now. And it's like, sometimes that isn't possible. Like, we would love for Ralph to come in with 6 guys, whole stacked, everything ready to go. He's only here for 6 months. He's only here for 6 months. He is gonna want to, lean on Carrick and stuff just to ask him a couple of little questions. You need a little bit of familiarity.
And who's to say this coaching staff? How long are they going to stick around? Because Rangnick's moving in upstairs. Is the coaching staff going to stick around? His guys, his assistant that comes in and the video analyst comes in. Do they stay at United or again? If it's assistant manager, is he just going to stick around, or is it going to be a case of, well, if it's Poch has got his own assistant? So what happens to those guys as well? That would be a thing. Because I know the guy that was going to be coming in as his assistant, I forget his name, was actually working with him at Moscow. In whatever role that Rangnick had, that sporting development role. I don't know if he will be going upstairs as well. That's something that we don't know.
We'll have to see. This is what I like. Bunny V says, completely disagree, Flex. Carrick needs to go. United need honest people to lead. Did you see his interview yesterday? It was shocking. Lie after lie after lie. Just sad. There you go, Bunny. Fair enough. Disagreeing with myself. I mean, did you see his interview yesterday? I disagree, Bunny. I disagree. I feel like when you're saying he's honest, I think Carrick is honest. I'm not. Look, Carrick, and someone else said, actually, I think Eagle Eye, there you go, Palace fan is always in here. Eagle Eye Football said, would you still want Carrick there, Flex? Been involved in multiple regimes. So it's a debatable subject. It really is. I just feel that right now, in the immediate 6 months, if we were going to keep anyone out of them, I would keep Carrick to go back to coaching and learn off of Rangnick. And don't get me wrong, fall back. Like, I'm not saying have the same input. He's got to learn. He's got to fall back. He's not going to be making the decisions anymore. But I think there could be something in Carrick to develop that Rangnick could see. Do you know what I mean? I just and because, like I said, Rangnick is coming in from not being able to bring in a whole set of staff, then maybe it's wise. Am I saying that Carrick's unbelievable and he's done so well that he deserves to get the job and he deserves to? That's not what I'm saying. I just think in the context of where we're at now, it could be quite wise for him to fall back and learn. Big up David Lee's contribution. Says, great stream yesterday, Flex. Really enjoyed it. Big up the team, Flex. Could you make Steffi Jenks a mod, please, bro? Yeah, okay, I will do that at some point. I will find where she is on there. And big up you as well, David Lee. Always keeping the mods going as well. See, Jay Wiz says Sentimental FC again. Come on, Flex. They need to go. Maybe I'm wrong. I just think
with that,
I don't think that's being too sentimental in this particular scenario, because they're all going to change again when Poch comes or when Ten Hag comes. So for now,
that's my point.
Let him be with Rangnick.
I think at the moment, again, I'm not going to be hypocritical, and I said they all should go, and I think they all should go. I think you have to be realistic and say, okay, can they even all go now? Can they even all go now? And also, like I said, I think we talk about total reset. I think total reset is going to probably come at the end of the season anyway. Yeah. I think maybe one of them sticks around. And that's because, again, whoever that new permanent person is, they're going to bring with them their entire backroom staff. And I think now it's kind of almost like an audition stage. Who can win over Ralph Rangnick? So at the end of the season, he goes to vouch for him with when he's having those conversations to bring in whoever the next permanent manager is. That he says, and this person should stick around. That's it. Otherwise, again, I think I think they will go. But at the moment, is it realistic to say, okay, yeah, Ralph Rangnick's going to come in, and again, he hasn't managed a team in however many years, 5 years, something like that, ridiculous. I'm going to bring in my entire backroom staff. Maybe that's just not even possible right now. And but we're kind of getting a half reset anyway, because these guys, like you said, are going to fall back in line. They're going to fall back.
It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. Vishal says, let Rangnick era begin. # glory, glory, Man United. A lot of people disagree with me in the comments. Let me bring up some of those. OM Goday says, Flex, due to some self-respect to themselves, they should go because they were in two regimes, Oli and Jose. They both got fired, mate. So basically saying, look, my time's gone. Just walk. TJ says, Flex, come on, you are way better than this. Not agreeing with me there. And Abiot says, Flex, Carrick, no. So yeah, it is. Red Alert says Carrick's not even qualified. And Peter says, Flex, Carrick has been there for 2, if not 3 managers' reigns. It's time for him to move on. He's seen management for a while. So look, a lot of people disagree with me. That's really interesting. Maybe I'm looking at it in the wrong way. I just think like Owen said, the big reset is going to come in the summer. And for me, look, if Rangnick can come with a whole set of staff, a whole complement of staff, 5, 6 guys, then they would go. Do you know what I mean? Then they would go. But I'm saying under what he's going to come with, which it looks like he's only coming with like 2 guys. Well, we need some coaches there. And I'm saying out of who's left, I'm saying actually till the end of the season, Carrick, you can probably learn off Rangnick and fall back. Like, you're not making decisions. You're listening to the big man. Do you know what I mean? That's where I was going with it. But it seems to be quite split. In fact, it seems to be more people, everyone saying that Carrick should just go. Listen, in an ideal situation, which is what I said this morning on Sky, I had to record it in the end because there was some technical, so it'll probably be out later. I said that Roy Keane going in on Carrick saying that, no loyalty shouldn't be there and all this. Blame the club, mate. Blame the club. Like, the reason why Carrick didn't go is not because Carrick's sticking his heels in. If Carrick would have done what some people are asking him to have done, which is just walk, who the hell's going to lead the team? The under-23s manager. Like, Carrick's doing us a favor and has done us a favor by getting 2 good results. So this whole thing of like, they should all hang their heads in shame and walk. Yeah, that's down to the club, not them. They're there because the club didn't have a plan. If the club would have sacked Ollie at the right time and brought in a manager and had a plan, that manager would have come with his whole staff: a Ten Hag, a Rodgers, a Zidane, a Pochettino. Yeah, obviously we know why they didn't happen, and this is the route we've gone down. But that's what would have happened, and Michael Carrick wouldn't have been there. So I just feel like, for me, with a short-term solution and Rangnick not coming with 6 guys, someone's got to stay out of him, and I don't think it should be Phelan. So, and it obviously isn't going to be Ollie. So I just feel like that's why I'm saying it. Not because I think he should get the job and don't be horrible to Michael Carrick. It's not based off that blind sentiment. The reason why I'm saying it is because I just don't think that Rangnick's going to come with enough people, and a little bit of familiarity wouldn't go amiss. That's just what I feel.
I think also as well, I mean, and you can never win in this situation because, again, had they all left or they walked and they said, Ollie's gone, we're going to walk with him. Basically, then you're looking at under 23 managers or under 18 managers to manage Manchester United for games against Villarreal and Chelsea in the Premier League. That could have gone really, really badly. That could have gone way worse than it did go in the end, ultimately, as well. And again, then you're looking at not just recruiting this interim manager, but recruiting an entire backroom staff that maybe Ralph Rangnick doesn't have. And that's extra time that United don't have at the moment. And again, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, but I think, again, that all of that mess can fall onto the board. Because tell you what, if they could have, maybe they would have been able to do that if they had 2 weeks to do it, but they did.
Yeah.
But they did have 2 weeks to do it, which is the international break. They could have maybe got that achieved in 2 weeks. But is it even possible to get that achieved when you've got Villarreal, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Palace in the space of 10 days? That's just not possible. And I think you do have to look at that in context. And again, we can talk about total reset and they should all go, blah, blah, blah. I think, to be honest, they are going to anyway. It's just not going to be now, A
few more people saying this before we finish off. Sam says, Flex, Carrick isn't the problem. It's McKenna and Phelan. McKenna hasn't even made his pro footballer debut and has favourites like McTominay, and Phelan is 60, for God's sake. And Vishal says, do you think Rangnick won't be afraid to make big decisions considering his reputation? Like benching Ronaldo, looks like a no-nonsense guy. That's what we spoke about earlier, Vishal. We said a couple of games he will probably sit Ronaldo out. He's not gonna care about that. And someone said there, I thought that was quite interesting. There you go. Matty says, I feel like Carrick can work under Rangnick, but McKenna and Phelan get on my nerves. And the Boffman says familiarity has been a problem. So disagreeing with what I was saying there, because I said maybe a bit of familiarity could help Rangnick in some situations. Hopefully not too much, because we don't want it to be too familiar, but I'll take your point there. And keeping a United great who knows best at this point is counterproductive, says Boffman, comes back in. So definitely saying just get rid, just get a whole new philosophy in there. I can see why people say that. I'll take your point, Boffman. Thanks for your comment. I just feel like, I said why. I'm not going to bore you guys again, but fair enough. And coaches who think McFred are good, then what hope is there? Says Trey. And Boyan says, do we have a start date for the new boss? We don't yet. It's just subject to work permits. So yeah, guys, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. We've got nearly 1,200 people right now watching. If you haven't done so already, I know you're excited. We're all excited. Ralph Rangnick's going to be at the wheel. Rangnick's at the wheel. It works. Yeah.
I mean, don't even start that.
I'm just saying. I do want to move away from it because it's just attached to so much we got behind it. Then it all come crumbling down. And then as soon as you start doing badly, everyone's like, oh, you're crashing. I do want to move away from it. But I'm telling you now, away fans, I know what it's like. We're going to be there. And if we get a big result, we score, it will be Rangnick's at the. It just fits. It will just be.
Do you think we're scarred at this point? Do you think we're scarred at this point as well? Like if he goes and wins 10 games in a row, do you think people are going to be like, oh, I don't know if I want to.
Dale says, about, no, Fleck. No more Will, says Woomin. Don't sing. No one sing. That stupid song, says Matty. I'm just saying what I think will happen.
This is why I'm here. Every time you and KG get excited, I'm always the guy that goes, look, I'm not saying because he's going to be amazing. I'm just saying if we just score a goal, if we score our first, when we score our first away goal, under Ralph Rangnick, I'm telling you, the away end's probably going to go Rangnick's at the wheel. It's probably going to happen. I'm just saying. You'll be the one uploading it to Twitter or on your Instagram story. Rangnick's at the wheel. Oh, God.
Listen, one thing I do think, though, before we finish, I do agree. I don't want it to be like whatever whatever our plan is, stick with the plan. If he wins the Champions League, great. If he wins the Champions League, fantastic, amazing. But if your plan was to get Poch, get Poch. If your plan was to get Ten Hag, stick to whatever the plan was. Don't just change.
You saying if he won the Champions League and finished top 4, you wouldn't be like, I don't want him as the permanent manager. That's a big statement to make.
Owen?
That is a big statement to make, and just throw it there and move on pretty quickly. If he wins the Champions League, move on. Sorry, what?
Owen? What are we saying in the chat? Just real quickly, if Ralph Rangnick came and got top 4 and won Champions League, what are you not trying to say? Just abort any form of plans? I'm sticking with it. I've seen Di Matteo come and win. I'm not in that fashion, but he come and done it. He won it. See you later. Like, I've seen managers do. I want to stick to the plan. I think even if we won something big like that, I don't know. He hasn't got a good record of managing. One. He hasn't got a good record of being at a big club for a long period. He comes in, he firefights, he puts in structures and stuff like that. What are people saying in the chat? We got no. Eric Ten Hag next. Ten Hag, please. If he wins the Champions League, give him a big pay rise and keep him. Ten Hag is a better choice than Poch. Ten Hag is the perfect guy.
So a lot of people saying stick with the plan.
A
lot of people saying stick with the plan.
Yeah, stick with the plan. Yeah, Ten Hag. Yeah, so not a lot of people. He stays. No. We need to stick with the plan. Keep him. I don't know. It's a bit mixed, isn't it?
We're talking about a hypothetical. That's super. Yeah, there's me going, we need to be balanced and not go too far ahead. I'm going, what if he wins the Champions League?
Yeah, it's your fault. Yeah. But anyway, guys, we got a hell of a lot of content coming your way in the lead up to the Arsenal game. As you can imagine, I'm going to be doing some stuff with AFTV. I'll be doing some stuff on the Don Robbie channel as well. So stay tuned for that. Some really fun stuff. And hopefully, fingers crossed, a really good Flexing KG show coming at you guys very soon, which we haven't had one for a little bit, actually. So going to get back running with that. Gabriel Noah says, if we win the Champions League, I'd give him even more power upstairs for 5 years because his philosophy is already proven to win Europe. Yeah. That's a super chat of the day. Yeah. Give him a pay rise and give him more years upstairs. Exactly. And then build him a statue or something. Do you know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. Not statue, but you know what I mean. Guys, thank you very much for watching. We will speak to you all very soon. And smash a like on the video. We are out of here. Peace.